Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Pre-Shabbat sermon and song session. It is another week, and Shabbos is here again, and it's been a long week for me personally. I've spoken to others. It seems like the weeks are getting longer, and perhaps this is the Shabbos that we need that special blessing that this particular Shabbat brings. In Jewish tradition, every Shabbos that we conclude reading one of the 5 sections of Torah, we say a special blessing, and that is Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. We say together to the person who's being called to the Torah and the reader of the Torah, be strong, and together we will all find strength. Just let those words sink in. Be strong, and together we will find strength. And how appropriate that is for this time when we are so affected by what's going on around us. And we all need our own personal strength. We must always also remember that it's not just about personal strength, but it's about collective strength. And as we discussed in certain sessions that we had during the week, that when you reach out to someone and you create positive energy, that energy overflows and is transmitted to people forever. So as we start this Shabbat, Shabbat didn't begin yet, but as we prepare to begin this Shabbat, let's focus on this idea of Chazak, finding personal strength, and Nis Chazek, offering strength to others, and together being a strengthened community as we continue to go through this particular crisis that humanity is facing. Let me shut my phone. So, my friends, as always, we have a guest chazzan. I don't think you want to hear me singing. And today we have welcomed back let me get him on here, our friend Aryeh Leib Horowitz, Cantor Horowitz, who was with us a few weeks ago. I got such incredible feedback that I invited him back to offer some of his beautiful melodies, and together with his melodies, as we all know, that soul that he gives into the songs and prayers that he offers. We will begin today's session with the very famous song/prayer of Oseh Shalom Bimramav, that God who brings peace in heaven should be peace into this world, and as many has referred to the crisis we're going through as a war with an invisible enemy. But regardless, we are all disrupted in our lives, and through the song when we merit that God bring peace and tranquility within our lives and with lives around us. Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek. So I am going to mute myself, and let's open our hearts and souls to the beautiful melody of Aryeh Leib.
Thank you, Rabbi Shem Tov. The song needs no introduction. If you know the song, sing along from wherever you may find yourself. Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ale kol Yisroel. Vehimru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Oseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'ale kol Yisroel. I ve'imru, amen. Haya haseh shalom, haya haseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisroel. Haya haseh shalom, ya haseh shalom, ya halom aleinu ve'al kol Yisroel. Ya haseh shalom, ya haseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisroel. Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol
Great job, Aryalev. That was a wonderful way to open up the session, and can't wait to hear the other few songs and what you have in store for us at the end. So we will now welcome everyone who has joined us over the last few minutes onto this broadcast, onto this pre-Shabbat session, song and sermon. And welcome. Chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek. As we said before, let this be a Shabbos where we strengthen ourselves and we strengthen others. My dear friends, there's once this young kid, we're now in graduation season. So there's once this young kid who just made it fresh out of school, graduated with honors, and is going for his first job interview. And he's sitting across the CEO of the company, and the CEO asks him, well, buddy, what would you like to get paid? Says, I'd like to start with a $120,000 salary and 5 weeks vacation. The CEO says, really? I'm going to do better. I'm going to throw in private travel on the corporate jet. You'll be able to have access to the executive kitchen every day. We're going to throw in another 4 weeks of vacation in addition to health leave and other benefits, and you've got the job. The kid says, really? You must be joking. The CEO says, you're right, and you started the joke. My friends, many times it's a question of expectations. What are our realistic expectations? What are we trying to strive? What are we striving for in our life? What are we trying to achieve? And I think that we are now in a time of personal reassessment and judgment about precisely those values. What do I want out of my life? And this struck me during a conversation I had this week with a friend of mine, a person who is a real big go-getter. He works not 24/7. This guy works 25/8. He is working and working and working. He's doing well. He's living the life, but he's working really, really hard. And I know him for years. And I was surprised when he told me, it's time for me to reassess. I said, how are you managing? He says, I always had a backup plan, and now I think I'm going to live with that backup plan. Spending time with my kids and my wife and my family is worth more than everything else that I was trying to achieve. Money isn't everything, he tells me. Work isn't everything. And I'm just shocked. This is no joke. This is true. This is coming from a friend of mine who is such a strong, hard worker. But because business is slow and he's forced to reassess himself, he tells me, Yuri, I don't believe I'm saying these things. But this is it. I'm 99% there. I hope he makes it to the 100%. But see, this is an issue of what is it that we should be striving for? What should satisfy us? What should make us want to do more? And as I'm thinking about this conversation, I reflect on something I read last week, an essay of a friend of mine, about something studied in the Mishnah, in the Talmudic teachings of the ethics of fathers that is studied throughout this time of the year. And there's a saying there of Ben Zoma. Ben Zoma was a great sage, and he says something that has been translated many times, Ezehu Ashir Asameach B'chalko. Who is a real wealthy person? A person who's satisfied with what is usually translated, satisfied with what they have. And this brings us to a certain story and a conversation that took place on a spring morning, the end of March in 1972, in front of the headquarters of Lubavitch, 770 Eastern Parkway. On this beautiful sunny day, a large motorcade of cars rolls up. And out of that motorcade emerges the ambassador to Washington, the Israeli ambassador to Washington at that time was Mr. Yitzhak Rabin, who later became prime minister. But in 1972, as was the protocol of most Israeli government officials in the States, that they were always consulting with the Rebbe. The Rebbe was very engaged with the security and safety of the Holy Land of Israel. So Mr. Rabin, then Ambassador Rabin, has a conversation with the Rebbe, and of course it was behind closed doors, confidential, top secret, and nobody knows what was discussed. Other than 20 years later, in a radio interview, Mr. Rabin shared a little bit of that conversation of what was being discussed. And here you see a conversation amongst leaders. Just from the question that the Rebbe asked Mr. Rabin at that time, you see how leaders think and how leaders teach. And the Rebbe, Mr. Rabin says, the Rebbe asked him a question. What is the meaning of the Mishnah, of this Talmudic saying, who is wealthy? A person who's satisfied with their lot. And the Rebbe asks, really? Is a person always supposed to be satisfied with what they have? Shouldn't we have a drive? Shouldn't we always strive to be better and to grow and to push up and up? And it's not just an emotional thing. That's what we see from the very beginning. Our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Rebbe says, were very wealthy people. They weren't satisfied with just having a little bit of money. They were wealthy. They worked hard. That was materially and certainly spiritually. They broke out of the comfort zones of where they were. They were definitely not satisfied with what they had. If they would have been satisfied with what they had, we wouldn't be here. They pushed it. They pushed for more. And that is life. Look at the DNA of the Jewish people. We're always innovating. We're always inventing. Look how many Nobel Prize proportionally went to the Jewish people. Israel. Israel's the forefront of innovation. It's in our DNA to want to strive and have more than what we have. So what's the Mishnah? What's the Torah trying to teach us? A message that seems to be contrary to Torah. And I won't go into all the other areas in the Torah where we're encouraged to grow. You got to move. You got to get out of your box, as you've heard many times over the last few weeks. So the Rebbe is trying to ask him, what is the meaning? What is Ben Zoma trying to teach? Who is the real happy person? The one who's satisfied. When being satisfied with what you have could be a detriment to growing out of what you have and getting more and accomplishing more. And here the Rebbe explained that Ben Zoma isn't saying, if you understand the Hebrew, who is happy? The one is satisfied with what they have. The Hebrew would be Ezahu Ashir Hasameach Ima Sheyesh Lo. A person who's happy with what he has. That's not what Ben Zoma says. Ben Zoma said, Ezahu Ashir, who is a real happy person, Hasameach B'chelko, who is satisfied with his lot. The Hebrew word chelek, it does not mean what you have, it is what you were destined to be. Your lot in life, so to speak. And the Rebbe goes on to explain in other places, every person has a chelek. Every person has a purpose, a part in God's world. Every person has a part and a mission to accomplish in the world. And this is the problem. Many times we're not satisfied with what we have to accomplish. We want to accomplish what somebody else is accomplishing. We're not satisfied with what our talents can bring to the table. We always want to be the other person, the CEO, instead of maybe being the CFO or being a laborer. So it's not a question of being satisfied with what you have. It's being satisfied with what you are. Because only when you're truly satisfied with what you are can you truly continue to accomplish more and more and more. If a musician wants to be an artist but has no talent for art, they won't be accomplishing much. if they are satisfied with what they are as a musician and put all their energy in being the best musician they can be, they will continue to grow and grow and grow. So it's not a question of being satisfied. A person must never be satisfied. You must never be satisfied with status quo. You must always strive to be better and better, but be better and better in what you were intended to be. Don't try to chase someone else's dream. Chase your purpose. Don't try to follow what somebody else is becoming. Become your chelko. That is the truly wealthy person. Because when you really have and understand what you are and what you are meant to accomplish, then you can truly find the true wealth and the benefits that wealth brings a person in their life. Many times I've mentioned my great uncle Reb Mendel Futterfass, who was an elder chassid who came from Russia, and while he was in Russia sat in the gulag for many years as a result of his self-sacrifice, really, to keep synagogues open during Soviet Russia. And he shared many stories, because in the gulag you meet many interesting people. But Mendel was a very observant person and observed people's conduct and always had a story to tell. He has many stories of lessons that he learned from those individuals. And he shares this story that once the prisoners were playing cards after work. It was 5:30. And it was prohibited to play cards. You weren't allowed to have that type of joy and entertainment. But, they did what they did, and the officer walks in, and he catches them playing cards. And quickly, one of the individuals collects the cards, and we're not playing cards. He says, yes, you are. I saw you guys playing cards. Guy says, okay, show us where the cards are. He goes, he can't find the cards. He goes into everybody's pocket, can't find the cards. He says, okay, he leaves. After he leaves, they start to play cards again. And he just jams right back into the room. I caught you. And the cards are there. And right away, quickly, they gather the cards. They disappear. And again, he checks everybody's pockets. They're not there. So what's going on here? After things settle down, Reb Mendel, who was observing this, asked, how'd you guys do this? I saw you playing cards. He looked for them. They weren't there. And then you started playing again. So one of the prisoners said, what don't you understand? I'm very quick with my hands. As soon as I collected the cards, I put it into the officer's pocket. So he checked our pockets, they weren't there. And I'm a good pickpocketer. On the way out, I took them back out. So he was looking everywhere else for the cards. They were in his own pocket. And this, Reb Mendel says, is what we do our whole life. We look for what we're looking for, we think exists in everybody else's life. They have it good. They have it well. He's making it. That's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. My friends, Eza hu ashir. Who is the happy person? Hasameach b'chalko. A person who recognizes their role and strives to be the best in their role, then you will be a truly happy person. You will be a truly wealthy person. So, let me offer an action item. And this action item is like this. We are all at home and we're all alone a lot more than we usually are. And sometimes we think maybe too much more than we would want to be. People want to work. People want to get out there. But as my friend who's been working 28/7 for as long as I know him, has been forced to reduce his work. And all of a sudden, what his true lot is becoming clearer to him. And although he may be living with a little less, or maybe running around, he said he never had the time to focus. So let's use this time to focus, not on other people's dreams that we would like to chase, but what are we really all about? What is my portion? What is my chelik in this world? And how am I going to be the best at it and continuously grow to not what the other person wants to be, but what I am truly capable of contributing? And at that point, we will find ourselves to be very happy people. We each have a purpose in this world. Let's not squander it. And let's use this time, the free time that we can hopefully reduce the stress that it brings and inject the positive energy of really understanding who we can be and how we're going to get there. And I want to finish with this little cute story. Another cute story of the Rebbe, but I think it's very relevant to conversations that are going on now, and I like to wind us all up with this little story. You know, Americans have a big problem. I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world, but America, and that's sports. We can't go to sports games. I can't give kosher hot dogs to Eagles fans. Who knows what's going to be with the Sixers, the Phillies, and there's all these conversation how sports is going to go on. And there's this talk is that they will be playing games without the fans there. Now, although us fans, we really believe in ourselves. We feel we're the ones that give the players a spirit. But at the end of the day, it's the players who play and win and do what they have to do. And this reminds me of a story and a very beautiful message of the Rebbe that ties in with everything we were talking about. The Rebbe many times, especially in the earlier years, in the 50s and the 60s, was dealing with really deeply American children and people. And would many times when he would speak to younger kids, bring metaphors or lessons from sports. And there are a few stories that have come to us of different bar mitzvah boys, that when they went to the Rebbe, he always led the conversation to sports. And in 1955, there's one of these young boys who went to see the Rebbe before his bar mitzvah. And the Rebbe asked him, "No, you like baseball?" He said, "Sure." He says, "Who you root for, the Yankees or the Dodgers?" The Dodgers then were in Brooklyn. The kid says, "The Dodgers, of course." He said, "What about your dad?" He said, "I don't want to talk about my dad. He doesn't like taking me to Dodgers games." All right. He said, "Did you ever take you to the Dodger game?" The little kid tells the Rebbe, "Yeah, sure, about a month ago." The Rebbe says, "And how was that game?" The kids, "Don't even ask. They were doing so bad that I left in the middle of the ninth inning." The Rebbe said, "You left in the middle of the ninth inning? What about the players? Did they leave?" The kid looks, "The players? They can't leave. They're players." And here the Rebbe turned to the child and said, "That's the difference between a fan and a player. A fan can get up and leave and give up whenever he wants. A player is a player and needs to stay on the field till the end. And when you become a bar mitzvah, you have to realize that in God's world, you're not a spectator. You're not a fan. You're a player. You have a role on this team, and you need to stay in it and stick through it till the end." And this, my friends, is the message from what Ben Zoma says in that Mishnah. If you really want to find happiness, you have to realize first and foremost, you are here in this world for a distinct and unique purpose that no one else can accomplish. I can't accomplish your role, you can't accomplish my role, and all the people that are listening cannot accomplish each other's role. We each are players. God put us in here with a chelek, with a part that we have to accomplish. Chase your purpose and you will find joy and happiness. And let's use this time that we are forced to think more about purpose to be honest with ourselves, because honesty brings light and honesty brings direction. So as we began the session, let's use the Shabbos to reflect on that, and through that, chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek. Let's say that all together. Chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek. Let's strengthen ourselves, and let's all share strength with one another. I want to wish you all a wonderful and good Shabbos. And before we conclude with a few melodies by our guest chazzan, Aryeh Leib, I just want to remind you that a good way to utilize this time to help you get clarity and focus is through joining all our sessions with the rabbis and the rebbitzins. There's so much going on our website, virtualjewishcenter.org. The schedule is updated every Sunday morning and a whole week long. There's so many opportunities for you to draw inspiration, to enlighten yourself, to encourage yourself, to strengthen yourself, and to find purpose and meaning in this world. I will be giving a few classes this coming week. Sunday morning we have a course at 10 o'clock called Positivity Bias, helping us train ourselves to see things in a positive way. Every morning at 8:30 you can come in and there's a different session, different stories, meaningful stories, inspiration, ideas and thoughts. 8:30, 10-ish minutes, usually about 15 minutes. And this Thursday evening at 8 o'clock, I'll be doing a class on happiness entitled, Don't Smile, Just Be Happy. 5 tools from the happiness box during these challenging times. I'm going to be doing it for the JLI. organization, but we will be streaming it through our website as well. So there's a lot to do. And as I've encouraged you many times, if you're inspired by these messages, share it with others. This isn't my message. I'm sharing with you what inspires me from our tradition. And if you're touched by that message, share it with others in a very simple way. jewishcenter.info/sermon. For the entire week, this is up there, and people can listen, and people can join, and you can share the joy. So my dear friends, we're going to go now to our chazzan in New York, Aryeh Leib Horowitz, who's going to share the song, a few Shabbat melodies. One we sing Friday night, one we sing Shabbat morning, Lecha Dodi, and then the Adon Olam, to give you a little taste of what Shabbat at Chabad is really all about. And it's not Shabbat at Chabad or Lubavitch, it's what Shabbat is really all about, wherever you are. So, Aryeh Leib, let me bring you onto the screen. You're there, let me clean up the screen with all the tchotchkes, so we can focus on what's going on with the nigun, and bichavod, Adon Olam.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi. I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you for a very powerful talk, and really inspirational, so thank you. I'm sure on behalf of all the listeners. Lecha Dodi, Likras Kalo, Penei Shabbos Mekavelo, Lecha Dodi, Likras Kalo, Penei Shabbos Mekavelo, Shamoir v'zachoir v'diborecha yishmianu, Ken ha'meyuchad Adon Yeshem echad, U'shemo echad l'shem Posiferes v'nisila lecha Dodi Adonai, Likras Kalo Adonai, Penei Shabbos Mekavelo, Likras Shabbos levu v'nevach Bekoy, Haberocha Meidois Mikedem, Nevesu Chasavoif Masei, B'machshavot Techila Lecha Doidi, Yadadadada, Likras Kalo, Penei Shabbos Mekavelo, Migdash Melech Yirmelo Chako Mitzei Mitoich HaPnecha Rabach Shepes V'yemek HaBovach Bavehu Yapoil Ola Yichem Molecha Doidi Yadadadadai Likras Kalo Yadadadadai Penei Shabbos Mekavelo, Yisnarim me'afar komo mikliche migadei Sivartecha v'miyal yad ben Yishai Eloheis alavachmi Tovar b'al navashi Yeve'yavalo Lecha Doidi Yadadadadai Likras Kalo Yadadadadai Penei Shabbos Mekavelo, Yisaidere Kila Vayere Kovo miyavoire yumre avre She'yir dabayri b'moed Hashem, olayich miyiglovecha, doidi arararara, yikras kala, arararara, b'nei Shabbos nekavelai, lavaboy sevelishti, veloi sikovo mi mavavat yislechachi, umatem mi mavavat yegazu, ani yeyavami neneveni nisa, yirapti yivalecha, doidi arararara, yikras kala, arararara, b'nei Shabbos mekavelo. V'hayolim shiyasa shamayis shamayich mevaberachatu kol mevalavayich yavasis alayich ve'eloikayich kitzayis chasan al kavalot v'chaviti likras kalo B'nei Shabbos nekaveloi, Yavamin v'smayil tifravoi tzivyes Hashem, Tavaritzi yayarish, Bevevem pavartzi, Bevevem nizbecha, Bevevem nakiyila, Echadoti da-da-da-da-da, Yikras kala, da-da-da-da-da, B'nei Shabbos nekavelai. Mahayim v'shalayim ha'teres malagam b'simcha u'v'tzala tavaboichem u'boneh am sekol abayim chala Chavala Lechodani Likras Kalo B'nei Shabbos Thank you. That's the Lachadodi. One of my favorite versions of the next song is Adon Olam, the traditional or the Israeli, depends on what you rather, but the song is a beautiful one. And once again, from your homes, wherever you may find yourself, please sing along. Adon Olam Asher Malav Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Ve'en Nasa Ve'chetoko Hazai Melech Shemo Nikra Yacharei Kiechot HaKol Levado Yemloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeh V'tifara אחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא הוא היה והוא ולא יהיה ותפארה אדון עולם השם עליו בטרם כל יצוא נברא ונשא בחץ על כל הזין מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה ותפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה ותפארה והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא ונשא מחץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם השם עליו בטרם כל יציר נברא ונשא בחץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה ותפארה אדון עולם השם עליו בטרם כל יציר נברא ונשא בחץ הכל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם השם עליו בטרם כל יציר נברא והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה והוא הווה והוא יהיה ותפארה והוא היה והוא הווה ותפארה והוא היה והוא יהיה ותפארה Thank you, everybody.
Yashikoyach Aryeh Leib, thank you for infusing our hearts and souls and our spirit and life with all that energy. And truly, although we can't be in shul tomorrow, we can't be at services in synagogue, and say chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek, to be strong and be strengthened, certainly that energy will really help build our spiritual muscles, that we can all strengthen ourselves, strengthen others, and together we will prevail and come through this. So good Shabbos to you, Aryeh Leib. Hope to see you again next week. Well, not next week. We're scheduled a few weeks from now. And we will definitely keep this going as long as we can. And to everyone, I want to wish you all a wonderful Shabbos. Don't forget to log on to our website, virtualjewishcenter.org. And with that, I will say, before I take that off, with that, I will say, everyone have a good Shabbos. Try to absorb this message. Try to share this message. And I will see you on Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, for our course on positivity bias. Shabbat Shalom.